Do you know why I'm here? I'm here because of you. You are what energizes me. You are what makes me want to keep fighting. When I see your faces, when I see your children, I see your signs, it makes the work we're doing worth it. It makes the sleepless nights worth it, because I know that we're fighting for you and for your children and your children's children. So I am absolutely honored to be here with you. I can't cry at the beginning of a speech. You can only cry at the end. Those are the rules. So let me start on a couple other things here. I want to recognize my family, who also is here from Arkansas. If you didn't know anybody lived from Arkansas, lived there, I've got 3 people here, including myself. So Mom and Dad, can you raise your hands? These are my parents. And my brother, I don't know where my brother is, but he's somewhere close by here. So honored that they're here as well. My dad is also a Vietnam veteran. So Dad, thank you for all of the stories and the time that you shared with me and fighting for our country. I didn't realize, I'll be honest with you, Dad, I'm being honest because I have a microphone and I have to be honest when you have a microphone. It's like truth serum or something. But I didn't understand the stories he would tell me until now. I didn't get it. I didn't understand what you were trying to say. I get it. I get it, because our freedoms are being taken away right now. I get it. We're on live television. We're on live Instagram. I get it, though. I get it, Dad. I get it, and I understand why you fought for our freedoms. I understand it now, for the first time, I think, in my 40 years of life. I get it. And it wasn't until our freedom started to be taken away and on the line that everything he ever taught me and told me about started to become more real. Like, what? My children, they won't be able to go to school? People are losing their jobs? We won't be able to go into the store? This is the first time that the reality of everything that you taught me has really become true and really sunk in for me. Uh-oh. Okay, only for like 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
15 seconds.
Don't embarrass me.
I'm not going to embarrass you. Sorry. I'm just doing it. Don't ever quit. Don't ever stop fighting for what is right. If you're built that way, ladies, if you got your war paint on, you can't lose. You can't lose.
The war paint?
Behave like one. Act like one. And go after whatever's happening here, or also in Arkansas. God bless you.
Sorry, that was so long.
I had to make you all cry. That was part of my goal today. Thanks, Dad. I love you. All right, you guys, we do have a lot of stuff to talk about, and this is where it gets really serious. I tell a lot of funny jokes about Arkansas, but I'm not going to tell any more jokes today, because I just don't want to tell any more jokes about Arkansas and make fun of myself. So here's the thing. We have brought 2 lawsuits against LA County right now. One, yes?
I love that.
The first one is on behalf of all first responders and public employees. It represents over 110,000 workers across the entire county. Whether they realize it or not, we are fighting for them. That's number 1. Thank you. For those of you who aren't clapping, will you please raise your hand so I can find you? Yeah, okay, good, okay. Number 2, we are also filing a lawsuit. We also filed a lawsuit on behalf of the children and have filed that lawsuit towards LAUSD for their unlawful and with no authority. They've tried to require the shot on the children. They don't have the authority to do that across any part of the entire state. It has a process, and they have not gone through the process. They don't have the jurisdiction to do that, and we know that. So we are holding them accountable, and we have filed a lawsuit against LAUSD, and there are more to come this week as well. I will tell you that, because we will keep fighting. We will not stop, because we have to hold the line for the children. You're welcome. Speaking of, I want you to know something. Did you know that the judges and the elected officials are exempt from this mandate that is on all of you? Did you know that? And I'm saying they don't have exemptions. They're not getting a religious exemption or a medical exemption. They are exempt. That means that this doesn't apply to them while you are faced with terminations and losing your jobs and your children having no choice. They are exempt. That's the only thing immune right now, right? They're immune from that with no liability. You know how I feel. It's time for us to fight back. We have to fight back. I want to tell you about the children. A couple of very quick things. On Friday, I got a phone call and a text message. There's a mother who sent her children to school, LAUSD, 2 of her children, against her will, against her parental consent, they were given the COVID shot. One was underage. This is what you need to be awake about. In addition to that, the state of California has set up vaccination sites across the entire state at elementary schools, gymnasiums, middle schools, high schools. It's everywhere, community centers. Why are they doing that? This is not so that they can, get this closer to you. They're putting it particularly at the schools for a reason. Please pay attention. In addition to that, they plan to de-enroll. So what does that mean to de-enroll? Oh, yay, fire, yay, woo! Thank you. They plan to de-enroll children 5 and up if they don't get the COVID shot. So in other words, they plan to kick them out of school, you guys. Kick them out of school starting January 1st in some parts of the state.
Scumbags.
In addition to, I feel like an infomercial. There's more. You guys, there's a few more. Do you want to hear a few more? Okay, here's more. So in addition to that, some of the counties are talking about requiring children as young as 5 and up to show proof of vaccination, so show papers before they can go into any kind of indoor space. 5 and up, you guys. That's what we're talking about here. Did you know that when the FDA and the CDC voted to approve the EUA for children 5 years old and up, I want to tell you a direct quote from one of the voting members. This is what he said. I have it on recording. I can show it to you. I'm actually going to show it to you, but I'm going to read it to you. He said, "We're never going to learn about how safe the vaccine is until we start giving it."
We're not experimenting.
So let me get this straight. You are going to approve this shot under an EUA, emergency use authorization, which means that it's still experimental and investigational, and you don't know about the safety of it until you start giving it to the children. That is what they're saying. They don't know the safety. I heard another one of the meetings where they voted for the 12-year-olds and up with the EUA as well. And at that meeting, they said the same thing, but at the time it was related to the fact that they didn't know the safety of giving a vaccine in one arm and a different one in the other arm. At the same time, the mRNA, the shot, with the DTaP or the flu shot, or they said it was okay to give it at the same day, same time. They said, just make sure you give it put it in a different arm. Okay, so we have to understand what we're talking about here when it comes to the children. There's no safety data, none, on the shot for them combined with other shots. None. I've not seen. Has anybody seen a single study, a placebo study that shows safety for the children? I have not seen a single one. Ray, please tell me. Have you seen? Okay, there's none. Thank you. But the same company, Pfizer, who has they're the leading manufacturer who is giving the shot to the children, right? Do you realize their background and their criminal history? They have been convicted in the courts of law. So it's not just, it's not just a lawsuit that it didn't go anywhere. This is something where they have been convicted in the courts of law, both nationally, so in our country, and internationally. And the kinds of things that they have been convicted of, they've had to put out over $2 billion in settlements, you guys. $2 billion. That is a lot of money. But for what? They have knowingly brought harmful products to market. These are the things that they've been convicted for. They have knowingly brought harmful products to market. They have knowingly tested new drugs on children without parental consent. They have bribery settlements, improper payments, deliberately misleading about hazards and harm, fatalities unwarned, knowing dangerous side effects, product safety issues, environmental issues, human rights violations, testing on children without parental consent. These guys have zero liability when it comes to suing them. You can't sue them. So while they have this track record, they're the leader for the children getting the shot, the manufacturers, but you can't even sue them. There's no accountability. So here's my idea. If the government officials and the school boards and the superintendents are so confident in this shot and they want to require it on the children, then why don't they take on the liability? Why don't they restore the liability? At least let them take it on. What are they afraid of? Right? Should they? Should they take it on? Yes. Congress as well, exactly. But that's what should be happening. Somebody needs to be accountable here, shouldn't they? Because right now, everybody that I've heard of, they're immune. They have no accountability. You can't sue them at all. I want to tell you something. We didn't just get here overnight, did we? It didn't happen where we woke up and it's not like it's all just here from last night to today. This actually this happened over time. Has anybody heard of AB 2109? Anybody heard of that particular bill? Raise your hand if you've heard of that bill. I want to see. How many? Does we have one person? Okay. So in 2012, I'm going to give you just quick history, really quick. In 2012, we had AB 2109, which was a law that was passed in California. At the time, it seemed harmless. This is a law that required a doctor to sign off on immunization. So if a parent, for personal beliefs, religious, whatever the reason, they would go to the doctor and the doctor would sign off on that immunization, okay? That they were opting out, okay? So, but then there was another bill that came just a few years later called SB 277. Anybody heard of that one? Okay? That was the bill that actually removed by law religious exemptions and personal belief exemptions, but at the time they said, oh, but don't worry, we're going to make sure that you have a very, very broad umbrella for medical exemptions. Doctors can write it, family history, all of that. And then what we found out through public records request is within a year of them passing SB 277, which was that law, they actually had already written another one called SB 276. Anybody heard of that one? Okay, that one was the bill that they passed in 2019 where it removed essentially all of the medical exemptions and retroactively, did you guys know this? Retroactively revoked exemptions for thousands and thousands of children across the entire state. That's why it impacts you. That's why you can't get a medical exemption. Hardly anybody can because of SB 277. That was the law. Those were 3 laws that were passed. 2012, 2015, 2019. What are they talking about right now? Do you want to know what the new laws are that are coming forward? You guys heard of AB 455? Did you hear of that one over the past fall? Yes. That was a bill that they were going to try to make it so people couldn't go into any indoor spaces across the entire state unless you showed proof of the COVID shot. You wouldn't have been able to go inside of the hotel, restaurants, anything. So we were able to, in unity, stand up and defeat that for now, in September. But I want to tell you, it's coming back. Okay? I'm going to give you the warning that is in me to tell you right now that it's coming back. That bills related to the COVID shot that impact everybody across the entire state, vaccine passport type bills related to homeschooling and the children, it's coming back. So I want to ask you to promise me something. When we were up at the Capitol during SB 276, there were thousands of us. Thousands that were banging on the walls, protesting, being there, being the voice for our children. Thousands of us. But this time, when these come back, I want you to promise me that you will be there. That you will be there at the Capitol with us, that you will rally with us, that you will fight with us in a way that you maybe didn't know you needed to before. Because you are now awake. And so my ask is that instead of thousands of us, there'll be hundreds of thousands of us at the Capitol telling them, no, you will not segregate us. You will not do this to our children. We will be their hedge of protection. We will do whatever it takes. So if I call on you, will you be there? Yes. If I send an email and I say, I'm calling in that favor and that promise, will you be there? Yes. Will you stand with me to protect the children at all costs? Yes. The lawsuits we're doing are to protect them. It's what we have to do. I want to tell you one other thing too related to the vaccine passport. I basically have a 2-hour class that I do to talk about it and tell you everything. And there's no way that you guys could handle 2 hours today, so don't worry, we're not going to go that far. But I want to tell you just a couple of things because the vaccine passport goes hand in hand with the mandates. Okay? It goes hand in hand, I promise you. It's all connected. So on the day that LA County announced that people would not be able to go into indoor spaces, that was September 15th, 2021. A good friend of mine who happens to be Jewish sent me this that same day, and she said this to me. She said, on September 15th, 1941, a new measure went into effect with which the Germans placed the Jews in even greater isolation. From this day onwards, parks, cafes, restaurants, libraries, theaters, museums, and other public places are forbidden to Jews. She said that was exactly 80 years ago, on Wednesday, September 15th, 2021, the same day as LA County's announcement.
Not a coincidence.
Do you see? We have to wake up so that history doesn't repeat itself. Do you see that what happened in September in our day, right here, right now? That's how awake we have to be. I want to read you one other thing before I end. I have a lot of people, because we work with so many people, right, across the entire state, and I get the fear. I understand. People are afraid to lose their jobs. They're afraid because they won't be able to feed their family. You're stressed out. You're getting harassed at work. You're getting coerced and pressured. You're being told that you're, that you're dirty and you're disease-ridden. I mean, the endless. You're being discriminated against. Like, what's happening to you? I understand the stress. I hear it, and I'm very, very sympathetic and compassionate about that. But one of the reasons why we are still in this position, in the place we're in today, is because too many people have been complying for too long. Too many people haven't said no. Too many people have been giving in. And so, where is your line? Where is your line? Is it for the children? Because what mandate is next? Right? If you keep giving in, if you notice that every time you give in to one, then there's another one, and then there's another one, and there's another one. So, stay strong now and realize that our time is now. Our time is now to not comply, not because we're crazy, conspiracy theorists or anything. It's because we can see the future. We can see what's happening. We understand that if we keep complying, that's how we're going to lose. And I, for one, am willing to stand alone if that's what it takes to protect our children, to protect you. I'll stand alone as long as it takes for you guys to get here, to be here, to stand with me. I'll stand alone. I know I'm not alone, because you're here. But I want you to know that that's the type of courage I want to see from you when you're ready. Last thing I want to share with you. When I hear a lot of people talk about the mandate, sometimes they say this. They say, it's not on me yet. Like, I'm not going to fight with you yet because it's not here. I don't want to, put my job on the line, right? And I get it. But every time someone says to me they're not going to fight because it's not on them yet, I want to say, you do realize it's like this is the equivalent of your house burning, the house next to you burning down, and the one on the other side of you is burning down, and you're in the middle with your house going, I'm good. Like, the fire's not here for me. And do you understand? Like, if you wait and don't fight until everyone else has already lost their job and determined, all of that, you're going to stand alone. Do you remember that quote? The one that says, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. The last thing I want to tell you is this. World War II, the people that came out of that, the people that fought for that, my grandfather was there. They were known, what were they known as? The greatest generation. Say it with me. They were known as the greatest generation. I genuinely believe with all of my heart that today, 2021, you and anybody within the sound of our voice has got to become the greatest generation of all time. What is happening is across the entire globe, all 7 continents. It's all across the whole entire world. It's not just isolated to one place and location. It is everywhere. So my last ask for you and with you is that you will have the courage, that you will give this everything that you've got, that you will lay everything on the line, so that we can walk into that calling that I really believe that we're meant to be here at this time, in this location, in this day, to become the greatest generation of all time. Thank you.
Please give it up for Amy Bohn.